look at this, you look at what we do with our wildlife.
Just looking around here, I can tell you're a genuinely dirty person.
Groovy.
So that's the kind of fun it's gonna be.
Diet Coke!
They're not allowed to be offensive, unfortunately.
Butthole!
No, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family. Medicine and medical and what we're doing. Bags of soup. That's amazing. How did you do that? A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua. And you know, when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what? A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
Man, I'm tired of being right. Man, I'm tired of being right. Man, I'm tired of being right. Did have shade.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss.
We've got entirely too many troublemakers here.
Dr. Evil. I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
These special shows, these afternoon gatherings, I was still set at my mic and my stuff. It's pretty loud. It's all right. Let me bring this sucker down a touch. I'm now hardwiring my microphone into the actual software. So hopefully that might stop the crickly crackly stuff. If it doesn't, it will now. So there you go. Fingers crossed. Very muffled. Very muffled. It muffled sounds better than normal, which is very muffled according to Zach. Is this better? Where the hell have you been? You swang. Yeah, sorry, I was, I got a lot going on. Stimulus check is bigger than the Democrats. All right. Sounds like there was an art of the deal thing happened, and he got played. Let's find out, shall we? No way on the executive order. This is the executive order. Like this is, if this doesn't show you Well, I mean, I can't wait to hear what he says. This is if he's going to sign an executive order that is effectively what the Democrats have asked for, it's going to be hilarious. Muffled? Cleanly muffled? Cleanly muffled? Is it muffled? Put it over here. Maybe it's that I'm talking out of this side. It's check it. Oh, maybe, you know what? And the other thing might be is that I have, sounds really bad. Oh, good. All right. That's reassuring. How about this? No gain, no noise suppression, no nothing. Why would it sound really fuzzy wuzzy? Perhaps. Sounds like a radio show? Is that a bad thing? I would rather have muffled than popping. All right, well, these are my options. Hold on, I'll swap mics and see if that's it. I brought the gain up, so I'll lower that. And this is, it's an experiment. Let's just experiment, shall we? Come on. Yeah, I tried to. Okay, the contrast is really high on this software versus the other one. So, yes, it makes my hair look jet black when it's really brown and my eyebrows really dark, and it pinks my cheeks a little bit. But it cuts me out better in the green screen. So I'm working on that part. And this one's now it's too low, but it might be less muffled. We'll take this. I don't mind doing that. We're having it's Saturday afternoon. I've already done the professional show. I can kind of chillax now. Let's see. Maybe that brings it up a touch. Is that a little better? Hey, all right. Yep. Now increase the gain, and it'll be a little bit better all the time. Hello, filtery filterness. We'll pop the gain back up. Oh God. Now it's super hot. Too hot, lady. And then the noise doesn't seem to be an issue. So let me see. Is that a little better? Is that good? Well, don't tell me ahead of time. There you go. All right. So okay. Little bit of hiss I would prefer not to have. Super turned up on there, but I've had worse. We've had bigger problems than this. We'll get there. This is my first time experimenting with using this as it's quite trebly. I will give you that. Let's see, channel, Bluetooth, levels. So that's fine. Go back down to here, preset, speech. Perhaps that makes it a little nicer. I don't know. I can't go. It's hard to say. But I've got now check them because it's now going. All right. Hey, look at that. Thanks. We like as a group we did our own troubleshooting. Our trouble is shot. We shot our trouble. You. And hi, Emo Vulcan, and hello, Jester, and what's up, Therm? And there we go. And hopefully this will be a little better. Now, I am using OBS. I'm using Streamlabs OBS, which is the Mac version of that. And it's got a lot of neat little things going for it that I appreciate. And kind of 6 of one, half dozen of another as far as trouble versus positive. So there. Let's give this speech a try and see if technologically it ends up being reasonable as well. Oh, they're announcing him. Oh, that's adorable. Here comes the chief. He's the one we all say hail to. We all say hail because he keeps himself so clean. He dug his Bedminster gaggle yesterday, so now he's doing it again.
Thank you very much, and
That's a little
it's a
quiet.
great honor to have everybody here.
And my mic is really low, and they'll turn it up, and it'll freak everybody out.
I know the press was not quite expecting this, so I appreciate your being able to attend. We have a terrific
Everybody's going, microphone, mic.
number of things and some very positive things to tell you tonight. I want to begin by giving an update on the economy. Economic health is vital to.
Wait, this is the yesterday one. Don't give me that. This is the live. Don't tell. Oh, okay, I see. Wait. Old New Jersey. Yeah. Jump ahead on me. New Jersey Conference, New Jersey signs executive order on coronavirus relief. Right. That's what we're doing. Okay. That's the crowd. There we go. Did they run the crowd out? Ladies and gentlemen, President of the United States. Right. Are we jump ahead on this? Oh God. Get on with it. There you go. That's louder. Jesus.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
A spattering of applause.
And good afternoon. My
Thank you very much. Nice afternoon.
administration has been working around the clock in good faith to reach an agreement with Democrats on additional China virus relief.
Maybe it's because you're calling it China virus that you're having a problem because I don't know what shit you're talking about. You mean COVID-19? Okay, let's move on.
Already, my administration has enacted over $3 trillion in
Oh, just by yourself? The guys, I didn't even know they did this.
historic relief, saving many tens of millions of dollars in jobs, and you see how fast
Saving many tens of millions of dollars in jobs. You guys get that?
$3 trillion in historic relief, saving many tens of millions of dollars in jobs, and you see how fast the economy is coming back. It does look like it's going to be a very sharp V. We have
No, it doesn't.
a tremendous
Yeah, this is this live-ish. Yeah.
enthusiasm, tremendous spirit, and tremendous job growth. We set a record on number of jobs in the last 3 months. It's the most jobs ever created in a 3-month period.
Bullshit. How come he didn't come out and do one of these like, this is a record, the number of jobs lost in a 3-month period? People going back to work is not jobs created. This is
A 3-month period. That's great.
It's so great, you know.
Before we begin, I've just signed 2 bills that are
Thanks.
great
Thanks,
for
Jennifer.
our vets. Our vets are very special. We passed choice, as you know, Veterans Choice, and
No, you didn't. That passed under the Obama administration in 2014, the VA Choice and Accountability Act.
Veterans Accountability.
It's access, choice, and accountability.
And they've been trying to get that passed for decades and decades and decades. And
Oh, so I think what's happening here is this is like him saying scourge in every room in the White House. Every time he finds a new crowd, he does his blather, and it's the same BS. He doesn't remember who he said it to. So if it's a new room, he goes into kind of like auto drive, like, oh, it's a rally. So I'll
presidents
just
haven't
say
been
the
able to
same.
do it, and we got it done.
Do I bother to look it up right now? Do we even care?
Veterans have choice.
2014. Just look it up. You don't believe me? Obama passed the VA Choice and Accountability Act of 2014. Just look it up. It's on the VA's website years ago.
Now you have accountability that if you don't love
You had also accountability in the title of the, oh, God damn it. I got to look it up. Hold on 1 second. I'm not doing this without the hold on. VA Choice, itself, Choice and Accountability Act. There we go. There it is. The Choice Act of 2014. Here we go. Yep, there it is. Veterans Access, Choice, and Accountability Act of 2014. Okay. So we're good now? Good?
the vets, if you're in the VA and you don't love the vets or take care of the vets, you can actually get fired if you don't do your job. We want people that love our vets. The first
That's what the accountability part. That's why that.
expands the eligibility for vets with blindness in both eyes.
Wait a minute. Blind vets would only get VA help if they were blind in both eyes?
We have an expansion of benefits, an expansion of various elements of being and working with the VA.
He's stoned.
For vets with blindness and, in particular, blindness in both eyes.
Did we what? What?
And we have a lot of problems.
Obama tried, but he could only get one eye. All these presidents for 50 years, they've tried to help. I keep hearing about these double-blind studies, and I'm like, why study it? Just pass it. Let the double-blind vets
With blindness in the VA, and we're doing something about it. They've been talking about this for many years.
They have?
So that is expanding eligibility for vets with blindness in both eyes.
What is he talking about? What is he talking about? I got 90 minutes till he's picking up my birthday family. Oh, we'll have a great time. Can't stop lying. I was gonna try and let's definitely lock eyes tomorrow. Have a great afternoon
Second
and a happy long birthday weekend.
is
Blindness in both eyes. What the shit is he talking about?
requires the VA to establish a
I'm sorry, Jim. Jim, I want you to watch my hand. All right. Oh, good block. Okay. Here comes the other one. Oh, I got you with that one. So I can't help you. One of your eyes works. So we can't. I can only sell you one patch at a time.
treatment court program for vets who need treatment rather than punishment for certain non-violent crimes. And you know what that
You mean pot?
all means, and it's
Yeah, I know what that means. It means pot. It's not exactly what we would call a Republican issue. Ask Jeff Sessions, your former AG, about
really
that.
something that they've been trying to get done for a long time. The second requires the VA to establish a treatment court. So this is a treatment court program for vets who need treatment rather than punishment for certain non-violent crimes, okay?
Drug treatment.
I think it's self-explanatory.
He doesn't know what it is. It's just on the paper. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's pretending.
We've wanted this for a long time. They've been trying to get it for a long time, and now we have it.
And there it goes.
I want to thank everybody for helping us get that done. We had a lot of support from a lot of great people, including people in the VA.
Really? That's a weird thing. If you're getting something done in the VA, that you would have support from people in the VA.
In the current negotiations,
So you mean you got something done that everybody in the VA has been asking for?
we have repeatedly stated our willingness to immediately sign legislation providing expanded unemployment benefits, protecting Americans from eviction, and providing additional relief payments to families. Democrats have refused these offers. They want to negotiate. What they really want is bailout money for states that are run by Democrat governors and mayors and that have been run very badly for many, many years and many decades, in fact. You know the states, everybody knows who.
Mississippi, Alabama. I'm only going the ones with lots of cancer clusters. Let's see.
we're talking about and what we're talking about. I
Florida Panhandle, is that its own state right now? Because it kind of qualifies as the same environmental issues that they have in Alabama and Mississippi.
think we have to go
Louisiana. Yeah.
over it. But what the Democrats primarily want is bailout money. Has nothing to do with the China virus. It has
Yeah, but it would. But
nothing to do with anything that we've been talking about over the last period of time. They want to bail out states that have been badly managed by Democrats, badly run by Democrats for many years, and in fact, in all cases, many decades. And we're not.
in all cases, many decades. Okay, that's weird. Because was it during those decades that they became like? I know which ones you're talking about, with the exception of maybe Baltimore, Chicago, L.A., New York. You know, the biggest economies in the world.
Willing to do that. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have chosen to hold this vital assistance hostage on behalf of very extreme partisan demands and the radical left Democrats, and we just can't do that. So hopefully we can do something with them at a later date, but we're going to be signing some bills in a little while that
They're not bills. They're executive orders.
are going to be very important and will take care of pretty much this entire situation
Pretty much this entire situation.
as we know it,
Hey, Gonzo, what's happening?
and as you have been covering it, and in some cases actually covering it accurately.
In some cases.
Many of the
So he's only let like OAN and Fox in the room now.
left policies they're pushing have nothing to do, again, with what we have been working on so hard, namely the corona. You can call it so many different names. What a
Did he just forget?
horrible thing. China.
Really? Okay. I'm gonna need that one clean as a drop. That's just garbage. You what now?
We have been working on so hard, namely the corona. You can call it so many different names. What a horrible thing China released upon the world. 1/3 of
The coronavirus? I mean COVID-19? How do you not at this point rattle off
their bill, the HEROES Act, is spending completely unrelated money to the virus. Here are just a few of the policies in their extreme left bill. And again, this is a bill supported by Biden. And
you do realize they're still in negotiations. There's not a bill. These are negotiations. That's why you come in back and forth and go, we want this part out and this part in. You guys say things like payroll tax and everybody laughs at you.
Biden is totally controlled now by the Bernie Sanders left wing of the party.
You wish.
And in fact, he's gone further left than Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I don't know what you Sanders, you Bernie bros, you could have been Biden bros this whole time. He's gone so far left. The two primary vice presidential candidates, he picked two black women that are, in the top running, and it's Susan Rice and Kamala Harris, because he's that far left.
Ever dreamt of going. So obviously, other than Bernie, have brought him left. If you look at the manifesto that they've agreed to, it's far further left than I've ever heard anything about Bernie Sanders. The mass
No, it isn't, but okay.
taxpayer bailout of badly.
Bernie Sanders just suggested taxing the billionaires that have increased their business during the pandemic. The entirety of the extra money they made during the pandemic. That's, by the way, not going to happen, because legally what that means is basically asset seizure of anybody who has it in wartime or any time of national emergency. So any president who declares a national emergency could just start seizing the wealth of anybody, because that's how blanket laws work, and that this establishes a legal precedent. It's goofy. It's not going to happen, and it's kind of to the left of where everybody else
In
is.
blue states, we talked about. That's one.
Can I turn up the volume on Facebook, please? I don't know how I can turn the volume on one thing, not the other, but I will absolutely try.
The things they're looking to do. Measures designed to increase voter fraud.
Uh-huh.
Banning voter ID. They want to ban.
Measures designed to increase voter fraud. That's what the purpose is.
Voter ID. We should have voter ID in every state. Every state should have voter ID.
Will then provide everyone in the United States with a nationwide federally backed identification card that's linked to their Social Security account that registers them to vote when they're 18 years old automatically. It's the year 2020, and nobody has to pay for one. You get it for free.
You have ID on everything you do practically.
Yeah, but they aren't right. You're guaranteed a right. If you say airplanes and credit cards and buying liquor, those aren't right.
Everybody has voter ID. Everybody has ID.
No, they don't.
Except for voters. When you vote, you don't want ID. They don't want it. We have some.
No, you're limiting what qualifies. Like student IDs, for example, because by accredited universities, show where somebody lives, is a picture, should qualify, doesn't. NRA membership cards in some states do. You can use your concealed carry permit, but you can't use your student ID. Do a federal national ID card.
States with it, it works out great. And if you want to stop fraud in elections, have voter ID. They want.
How do you do voter ID on mail-in voting or absentee voting then? Why would somebody who files for absentee voting, how would they show ID other than they did when they registered? Like at the DMV, for example.
Measures designed to increase voter fraud, which is banning voter ID in all states and banning requirements for signature verification.
No worries. I hope you're okay.
In federal elections. Now, why would they want in this bill, which really has nothing to do with what we're talking about, stimulus, something banning voter ID. In every single state they want to ban it, including states where we already have it, because we have some states where we have it.
I'd have to see the language. I'm going to go with you're making it up.
Indiana and others that do very well. Why would they want to ban voter ID in all states? And
Because IDs are not free of charge, and it ends up being a poll tax.
why would they want to ban requirements for signature verification in
They don't.
federal election? Who would want a bill
They don't.
banning signature verification?
No one.
What's that all about? You know what it's
It's fart air in your head.
about? Fraud. That's what they want, fraud. They want to try and steal this election because, frankly, it's the only way they can win the election.
Yeah, I know. When you look at the polls and you're 11 points ahead, you really got to start pulling out all the stops.
The bill also requires all states to do universal mail-in balloting, which nobody's prepared for,
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine the stamps involved?
regardless of whether or not they have the infrastructure.
They do.
They want to steal an election. That's all this is all about. They want to steal the election.
Is that what it is?
So in the
Yeah. Yeah. They've seen the polls that are just, it's like a hair's breadth, and they want to steal it.
bill, they have a bill that requires all states to do universal mail-in balloting,
Offer it. Offer it.
regardless of whether or not they have the infrastructure.
It's a federal election. Provide it. In the bill would be funding for it.
In Nevada, it's such a disaster. Their infrastructure is a total disaster.
No, it isn't. My girlfriend volunteered during the primary. They needed more volunteers, but their system's pretty sound. Your address, your UPC symbol that goes with your vote, you get a ballot, either in person or by mail. It has a specific UPC, like a QR code kind of thing on it. That lines up with the one at the elector's office. It has your signature next to it so they can compare it. It has your address. You can come in and show your electric bill, show where you live, verify that you live in the district, because that's really what it's all about, that it's your place, you're a citizen, you live in the district. And then you sign your name on your ballot and they'll check. And if it's off, they'll go, where'd that guy go? That's bullshit. And throw it away.
They don't want to have signature verification. They don't want to have any of the safeguards that you need.
Yes, they do.
And they don't want to have safeguards that are so common and so basic, and even other states that we disagree with have. This Nevada thing is a mess, but we'll see how the courts determine what the courts determine.
The courts will determine that they have signature verification.
But they certainly don't have the infrastructure in Nevada. So
Yeah, they do.
we'll see how it is. As you know, we brought suit last week, and we'll see how that all works out. I think we're going to win it.
I think they're going to toss it out and they're going to continue on.
But basically what they're trying to
I'm in Nevada right now. They're going to handle it fine.
do with all of these requirements, including no signature verification, they're trying to steal an election. And I was in Ohio.
How can you post this online, by the way, since these are lies meant to like control an election or change?
I was in Texas. I was in Florida over the last 4 or 5 days. And if you would see the crowds along the highways and the roadways, people have said they've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And they haven't
The boaters, the bikers, the waving.
seen anything like it. And
Well, you've seen things like it. I mean, you've seen the Women's March, or you've seen people who showed up to watch John Lewis's body go across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Obviously, RFK's, funeral procession, as Chris Matthews has talked about in his book.
press doesn't report it.
No, because it's not that big a deal. You go, your party, your people arrange for people along the route to make you feel better.
They're fake news.
They're fake people.
They even want to force states to implement the controversial practice known as ballot harvesting, very dangerous practice.
What do you mean that they want to institute ballot harvesting?
I think they would allow Democrat Party operatives to deposit thousands and thousands of completed ballots at the post office without any verification of who filled them out, including a verification of signatures on the ballot. So you're not even going to have a verified signature. Anybody, I could sign it, you could sign it, anybody in this room could sign it.
Yeah, no.
And that's going to count as a vote. How can
So Democrats want ballot harvesting in a bill. I'm going to need to see the language on that one. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is bullshit. And you're talking about stuff that's allegedly in their negotiations, and they're going to come out and go, "We didn't ask for that." And he's going to go, "Yeah, you did," and that's the extent of it. Please post the draft bill online of them asking for no signature verification.
you do a thing like this? So
Yeah.
this is what they're asking for. This is what Nancy Pelosi and crying Chuck Schumer are asking for.
Yeah, that's what they're asking.
Okay, that's
They laughed at crying Chuck Schumer because that's hilarious.
ridiculous. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing. The Democrat bill includes stimulus checks for illegal aliens. So if you were able to get into our country illegally, and our border is, as you know, doing very well right now. We have a very
I think it's for DACA recipients.
strong border, and the wall is up to 276 miles.
Wasn't it 67? And by the way, well, I guess some of them blew down.
And we'll be completed with it around the end of the year. We're going to do some extra mileage in certain areas that people didn't realize were so bad. So we'll be completed with it right after. We're going to do the additional mileage.
Really exciting, by the way.
We'll do it probably a little bit after the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think from what I've heard,
I've heard.
Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, wants to rip the wall down. He wants people to pour into our country. They want to have open borders. We don't.
Yeah, that's what Biden's always been pushing for, open borders. I know that the Sturgis thing is sad. I want to go to Sturgis one day, not under these
have open
circumstances.
borders. So the Democrat bill includes stimulus checks for illegal aliens. They require the mass release of illegal aliens from detention. They also compel the mass release of inmates, including serious felons. How do you like?
Serious felons. You mean people like Michael Cohen and Mike Flynn and Roger Stone and Ghislaine Maxwell? You got a bunch of Democrats and they're wishing pedophiles well. I'm sorry, that was him.
That one. And this is in.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know what the open borders thing is. He says that all the time. I think there was a clip of Hillary Clinton talking about migrant workers who work with farms in border states, and that they needed an open system to go back and forth so that the people don't come over here, work under the table, and live here and don't pay taxes and all that kind of stuff, and then get deported and have to sneak back in. That they can just come over, work for 3 months, and go home, which is part of the immigration bill that everybody's been trying to pass for years.
The bill that we're talking about, what does this have to do with stimulus, the economy? What does this have to do with the
We have an election coming up.
coronavirus?
People will die if they stand in large groups. We have not entered the second wave. We have never finished the first wave. We have 1,000 people dying a day.
Know the name?
Thanks,
what
Leon.
does this have to do with this?
Look, I understand you're confused. I get it. A lot of things are confusing for you at this point. Reading. I appreciate you keeping your finger on the page, though. But we have to conduct an election during this, and part of getting the bill passed so everybody can go back home and stay in quarantine till the election, basically, is getting this stuff done.
So think of that. They required the mass release of illegal aliens from detention. What does this have to do with what we're trying to do?
COVID is running rampant through these places, and they want to release them back over the border or give them the ability to stay with relatives they have here and then show up for immigration court later. Put ankle monitors on them. But having them in a space, confined spaces, kind of like a rally, the disease spreads. Same thing with COVID in prison. That if somebody's not a physical danger, letting them out temporarily into either a smaller facility or into some other, into a halfway house or something, smaller environments where you can track and trace the disease. And if it starts to spread, it doesn't spread to 100 people, it spreads to 6 or 10. It means that people don't die for writing a bad check.
You want to put this in, this is a radical left policy.
Not at all, Leon. I appreciate it entirely.
So they can go to Portland and try and rip the place apart that they've been doing for many years, and they've been doing for years and years.
Have they?
They also compel the mass release of inmates. What does this have to do with what we're talking about? This is Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy, and Chuck Schumer. They want to
keep people who haven't committed murder from being murdered.
Compel you to do this stuff, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, and it includes serious felons. They want to have these people
as opposed to really funny ones
released on a mass basis, including serious felons.
That serious felon part is not in their language, it's in your language. And Mike Flynn is a serious felon. He acted as a foreign agent, he lied to the FBI. Roger Stone threatened a witness during a trial. These are serious felons. You don't have a problem releasing them. What about the people that Kim Kardashian asked you to get out of jail? They were serious felons. There were mitigating factors where you thought their sentence was too heavy in the case of a couple of them, and obviously they were serious felons, though. One of them was a cocaine dealer for years. There are guys in jail still who killed on her behalf. But you wanted her out, so.
That's page 1,689, page 1,762. Think of that. 1,762, and that's nowhere near the end of their bill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of details in it.
They have things in there that nobody has even had the time to look at or read.
Yeah, they are, apparently.
These people, I don't...
You're addressing them. You're talking about them, bringing it up in negotiation. If you're talking about it, you've read it.
I honestly don't believe they love our country. You want to know the truth. In addition to demanding...
They keep wanting us... They don't understand why we shouldn't just give the death penalty to every prisoner we have behind bars right now.
These extreme partisan provisions, Democrats are actively blocking the following measures.
Okay, let's hear it. They're blocking right now. They're actively blocking it. What are they? Hi, Kathy.
Support for K-12 schools to help them safely open.
You mean rush to open?
Additional funding for the Paycheck Protection Program to help millions of workers on the payroll.
Mm-hmm.
These are great programs, very successful.
Yeah, the Democrats added more money to it than you did. They're the ones who came to the table and said you need a second one. You were saying this bill didn't even have to exist. Everything you're going to be citing about what they're blocking is stuff that the Republicans didn't even want to talk about.
A lot of businesses open. That's why we're doing so well in reopening our country. Additional money for hospitals, testing, and vaccines. Direct payments of $3,400 for a family of 4. Now remember, this is what the
direct payments of $3,400 to a family of 4. Okay.
This is what the extreme partisans. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Keep talking.
Democrats are actively blocking
the stuff that they put in the bill.
The things that we want.
Because they want it, we want the things we want, but none of the things that they want. And we know that they want the things that we also want, but they want bigger versions of it. So we're saying that they're blocking the smaller version of it to make you think that they don't want any of it at all.
And what we want is good for people.
It's good for people.
These are things that they're blocking.
Like opening schools too early. It worked really well to reopen. By the way, which states that you're talking about that are having a decline in cases aren't directly related to them closing stores again?
Support for K-12 schools so they can.
Terrible. K-12. Those are, if you don't know what a K-12 school is, it's a school that teaches you how to climb a mountain that reaches the upper atmosphere.
Open. Think of that.
Yeah. You mean rushing them open?
Also, direct payments of the $3,400 for a family of 4 plus. Then funding for child care and mental health care. And you need that, especially when you have so much of a lockdown. You need that. Mental health care, funding for
I worked in a state prison for 20 years, just retired in June. What you think it's like? It's worse. Holy smokes, Gonzo. Well, I appreciate your service in that regard, my friend.
broadband, airports, and agriculture, rental assistance, and support for
Broadband? Wait a second, huh? We're jumping back to
community banks,
broadband?
airports, and you need that. Mental health care, funding for broadband, airports, and agriculture, rental assistance, and support for community banks and credit unions to help them provide $100 billion in loans to the hardest hit communities.
With no IG oversight, and in that $100 billion to, are you going to mention the extra $1 trillion to bigger businesses that are all linked to Mnuchin?
Including rural communities and farmers. They don't want anybody to get that.
Yeah, I'm going to call bullshit.
Democrats are obstructing all of it. Therefore,
That they're obstructing everything in their bill.
I'm taking executive action. We've had it.
We've had it.
And we're going to save American jobs and provide relief to the American workers. And I'll be signing these bills in a very short period of time. First one is I'm providing a payroll tax holiday to Americans earning less than $100,000 per year. In a few moments, I will sign a directive instructing the Treasury Department to allow employers to defer payment of the employee portion of certain payroll taxes from September 1st. And we're actually going to be making that. We just got the word. We're just getting some word from a lot of people. We didn't think we'd have to do this because we thought the Democrats would be reasonable, but they've been.
The Republicans don't want it. You're having to sign it as an executive order because Republicans won't support it.
Not only unreasonable, they've been ridiculous. So we're going to make that August 1st, most likely. It'll be August 1st. We'll let you know the exact date, but we're looking like.
You're signing it now. What do you mean you'll let us know the exact date?
August 1st.
Wait a minute. It's the 8th. You're signing it now. Does anybody understand why he wouldn't know when the executive order says it starts? Or is this one of those exploratory executive orders?
It'll be August 1st through the end of 2020. This will mean bigger paychecks for working families as we race to produce a vaccine and eradicate.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Did he mean 2021?
It will mean bigger paychecks for working families as we race to produce a vaccine. And the word, we're just getting some word from a lot of people. We didn't think we'd have to do this because we thought the Democrats would be reasonable, but they've been not only unreasonable, they've been ridiculous. So we're going to make that August 1st, most likely. It'll be August 1st. We'll let you know the exact date, but we're looking like August 1st. So it'll be August 1st through the end of 2020.
Okay.
This will mean bigger paychecks for working families as we race to produce a vaccine and eradicate the China virus
By the way, that's just going to create a gap in funding for Social Security.
once and for all.
It's going to raise its deficit
And we're doing
and have nearly no effect. I mean, this is just to force people back to work, is the idea that they think the reason people aren't hiring people is because people are lazy and don't want to go back to work, or companies don't want to hire workers because they feel like they can get the work done without them, and that's affecting his economy and his bottom line, and they're looking at that. So they're thinking, if we just suspend that, then you can add maybe 2 workers through the end of the year for your outlay of money, and and then you can just fire them in December right before Christmas.
very good with the numbers. You see it's
Yeah, this is just lining up some Christmas firing.
going down in Arizona very, very substantially and rapidly, going down
No,
in California, going down in Texas, going down in Florida.
because everybody went back inside and they shut down businesses and they went back to mitigation.
Other areas are propping up a little bit, but we're
Creeping up?
watching them very closely. We understand
Are you?
the disease, and we're watching them very closely, especially our senior citizens and our senior citizens' residences. If I'm victorious on November 3rd, I plan to forgive these taxes and make permanent cuts to the payroll tax. I'm going to make them all permanent.
And blow a huge hole in Social Security and help to undermine it. By the way, Republicans won't sign off on it.
Now, Joe
Neither will Democrats. It's everybody knows it's suicide.
Biden and the Democrats may not want that. They don't want
No, they don't want that. Most Republicans don't want it either. They recognize that Social Security is very popular, and if you cut the funding for it, retirees will be screwed.
that because they're adding $3 trillion in taxes. So they'll have the option of raising everybody's taxes and taking this away.
You mean by removing your taxes for big business that were permanent and letting the other ones expire like you meant to?
But if I win, I may extend and terminate. In other words, I'll extend it beyond the end of the year and terminate the tax.
So there'll be no payroll. Okay, so nobody's going to pay into Social Security anymore. So how long till Social Security just dies on the vine? Where's the funding come from?
And so we'll see what happens.
JB, left, right, same nonsense with a different label, hiding tyranny. Not at all, JB. That's ridiculous, childish, stupid, and infantile. Good luck with that. We don't both siderism here.
Biden probably won't be doing that. You'll have to
No, he will not be eliminating the payroll tax at all.
ask him. I don't think he knows what he's doing. Second,
I don't know what I don't know if he knows what he's doing. And that's the applause line. That was just that was a knee slapper.
I'm signing an executive order directing the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HHS, and CDC to make sure renters and homeowners can stay in their homes. So I'm protecting people
How?
from eviction. Yet you've been hearing a lot about eviction, and the Democrats don't want to do anything having to do with protecting people from eviction. I said,
Yeah, they do. They want $80 billion so that the landlords actually don't lose their buildings as well. If you rent from someplace, it's not like you just pay rent to somebody and they just, they're sitting on the building and just counting their cash a lot of times. A lot of mom and pops out there who bought an apartment building with their retirement has 4 apartments in it, and if all 4 people can't pay anymore, they can't pay the mortgage on the thing and they lose the entire thing. So you don't just put a moratorium on the evictions. You put a moratorium on the evictions by making sure that individual investors that aren't like big real estate conglomerates like his buddies, smaller ones, get their rent covered, like using like the Section 8 law or those kind of
let's
things.
do that separately. That could be a totally separate thing from passing along money so people can live. And they didn't even
What? You what?
thing from passing along. That could be a totally separate thing from passing along money so people can live. And they didn't even want to protect people from eviction. So
No, they didn't. Because then why were they asking for $80 billion for it?
we get evicted. It's not their fault that this virus came into our country. It's China's fault and came
It's your fault because it escaped Washington State.
to the world. By the way, a lot of the people, a lot of the states that were doing the best are having some problems. A lot of the states that we weren't thinking were doing the best are doing very well. You look at some of the countries involved, some of the countries that were really standing out as examples are now exploding, but they'll get it down. They understand it. We're dealing with them. We're dealing with a lot of countries. We're providing thousands and thousands of ventilators all over the world right now. We make a lot of ventilators. We've started off with very little, and we're making a lot.
Christ almighty, the ramble. Where was he? Where was there a point in there?
And we have thousands in our stockpile, but we're making thousands a month. And we're providing many of them, thousands and thousands, to other countries that would never be able to get them. The Department of Housing and
What does this have where did we get there from evictions?
Urban Development will also provide financial assistance to struggling renters and homeowners and work with landlords and lenders to keep Americans safely in their homes. So we don't want people being evicted, and the act that I'm signing will
Not a bill or an act, it's an executive order.
solve that problem
Not a bill or an act.
largely, hopefully completely. The third action I'm taking today will also provide additional support for Americans who are unemployed due to the China virus. Under the CARES Act, I proudly signed expanded unemployment benefits into law. Congressional Democrats have stonewalled our efforts to extend this relief. They even opposed measures that would give bonuses to workers returning to the job. They were totally opposed to that. For this reason, I'm taking action to provide.
Because it would cut off their funds in exchange for that if they didn't or felt unsafe or they couldn't. So basically, it was just holding a gun to their head.
An additional or an extra $400 per week in expanded benefits. $400, okay?
Okay. You mean the point that everybody was negotiating to?
So that's generous, but we want to take care of our people. Again, it wasn't their fault, it was China's fault.
And the Democrats wanted to extend the $600 for the record.
States will be asked to cover 25% of the cost using existing funding, such as the tens of billions of dollars available to them through the Coronavirus Relief Fund. Under this plan, states will be able to offer greater benefits if they so choose, and the federal government will cover 75% of the cost. So we're all set up. It's $400 per week, and we're doing that without the Democrats. We should have been able to do it very easily with them, but they won't.
Well, if it's $400 a week and you're adding it, then the federal government isn't adding $400 a week. The federal government is adding $300 a week, and the state has to present $100 of it, and more or less.
All of these additional things that have nothing to do with helping people. Fourth, I'm signing a directive providing relief to student loan borrowers. Earlier this year, we slashed student loan interest rates to zero. I don't know if people know that because the press doesn't ever report
Yeah, it was in the CARES
it,
Act.
but maybe they're watching now. The press doesn't report a lot of good things that are good for the people and good for the country. Earlier,
Wow, the fade on this, they don't even bother to. This one is for all the welcomes. Oh, thanks, Lisa.
this year, we slashed student loans, interest rates to 0% and suspended student loan payments, and Congress extended that policy through September 30th. Today, I'm extending this policy through the end of the year, and we'll extend it further than that, most likely right after.
Wait, Congress extended it till September 30th?
December 1st, so we look like we're going to be extending interest rates to 0% and suspended student loan payments, and Congress extended that policy through September 30th.
That was in the CARES Act.
Today, I'm extending this policy through the end of the year, and we'll extend it further than that, most likely right after December 1st. So we look like we're going to be extending that. They're paying zero interest.
Why don't you extend it for 6 months? Because you don't want to do it because you want to either leave that bill on the desk of the Democrat who takes over, Biden, so that you can blame him for the hole it creates in the budget and costs and all those kind of things, and make everybody mad at them for all the stuff they have to sign off on to make up for all the gaps he created.
And again, not their fault that their colleges are closed down, and not their fault that they're unable to
Right, it's yours.
get what they bargained for.
Yeah, it's your fault. It is your fault, Donald John Trump. According to the standard you held Obama to under H1N1 and the fact that you let this virus escape Washington State. It was in one old folks' home. There were 15 cases. It was going to go away, and you screwed the pooch.
Through these 4 actions, my administration will provide immediate and vital relief to Americans struggling in this difficult time. And the beautiful thing about this difficult time is we're now coming back and setting records.
Well, then why are you giving people, why are you having to extend this to the end of the year and add $400 a week indefinitely?
We'll also
We're
ensure
coming back very quickly. Why not $100 and just get on with it?
that our economic comeback continues full speed ahead.
Yes, Carl, notice he said, I'm going to move to forgive this payroll tax holiday. I'm going to move to forgive it, meaning that just because they don't pay it through the end of the year doesn't mean they don't owe it later.
And
then he's going to get rid of it forever. So therefore, Social Security. Yes, the president of the United States currently is talking about ending Social Security.
with the $400 and all of the other measures that we're talking about, and we'll be signing in a little while, that will happen. We're further looking at additional tax cuts, including income tax relief,
That's what we need, is a big tax cut right now. That'll do it.
income tax cuts and capital gains tax cuts. So we're going to be looking at
Yeah, so people can sell those stocks that they just made a shit ton on before the bottom falls out a second time.
the capital gains.
They don't have to pay on capital gains that they made during the rush in the stock market, so that when the shit hits the fan because the bill comes due in October, they can get, info from their insiders in here, sell off their shit the day before the shit hits the fan, and then buy it back at fire sale prices.
For the purpose of creating jobs, and income tax is self-explanatory, and it'll
Yeah, tell us about
be
it.
income tax for middle income and lower income people, but middle income people, because they pay
Like what? What's your definition of
a
middle?
lot of income tax, and you do have tax inequality. I'm saying that as a Republican, and you do have tax inequality.
How so? What's the tax inequality? You mean that rich people pay more tax than poor people do?
So we're going to be looking at income tax, and we're going to be looking at capital gains tax.
If there's tax inequality, it's where rich people can write off stuff that poor people and middle income people cannot.
Cuts on both, and maybe substantial, and we'll be reporting back fairly shortly on that.
Fairly shortly, in a couple of weeks, in a very short period of time, maybe 2 weeks or whatever. By the way, where's that healthcare plan?
That's big news. That's big news, but very important.
No, it isn't. It's gibberish. It's not true. You can't enact it through an executive order. You can't get it passed. It's nonsense.
We want to have our job.
He's literally lame ducking right now. This is a lame duck presidency. This is what it looks like. This is what happens the day after you lose an election. This is what the president talks about.
Flourish.
Like this is, if you've lost and you've got 2.5 months and it's all taking a shit, you go out and go, well, we'll do this, and we're going to put these things, maybe these will, we're going to get this
We want to
done.
have our companies do great. We want to have the 401ks, which are now at a level, if you look at the stock market, it's great. If you have stocks in NASDAQ, you're higher than you ever were.
That's why they want to cut capital gains tax. Meanwhile, people who don't have a job are just screwed.
Even this is still during the pandemic, the stock market, because they see such incredible things happening, smart people, the stock market is at almost an all-time high. We're just short of it, and NASDAQ is higher than it ever was. It's broken the record 14 times. And
Yeah, because rich people all over the world are hiding their money and riding the stocks of like 6 different companies.
last couple of months. So
This is just a phone in. This is a dude trying to act relevant when he knows he's not going to make it.
401ks are doing fantastically. I hope you kept your stocks. I hope you didn't sell. I hope you had confidence in your president and confidence that your president was going to be reelected. And I will tell you this, that the biggest tailwind, the biggest problem that we have with respect to
Headwind. Tailwinds are good. Headwinds are bad. Headwinds slow you down. Tailwinds push you forward. All right.
the stock market, which is not much of a problem because it's doing so well, but it would be actually much higher, is the possibility that these radical left Democrats could win. And if
No, it's been going up specifically in this downturn along with Biden's chances of winning. They're looking at stability next year. They're investing in the idea of stabilization, that it normalizes and people go back to work and do their thing because Biden's ahead. If it looked like he was crashing and burning, the stock market would go into a bear market. That's not just me saying that. Go watch CNBC or Fox Business
they win,
whenever he's not being interviewed.
we're going to have a crash. We're going to have a terrible problem
No, we're not.
because they're going to raise taxes, $3 trillion worth of taxes. And that's
You just spent $2.5 trillion just on the military.
going to affect
Where the shit do you think that's coming from?
everybody from middle income to upper income to jobs to companies. Your 401ks will go down like a rock.
Like a rock. So up like a rocket ship, down like a rock. All right.
Stocks will go down like a rock. And don't forget, these big companies, you have stocks in these companies. You own stocks. And they have millions.
I do.
And millions of shareholders. And whether
I didn't realize I had stock in these. I should sell some of these. I could probably buy something nice right
it's
now.
pension funds or anybody else, you all have stocks. So they're big companies, but
You all have, if you have a union pension fund, like most people, what?
a lot of people.
This dude is literally, okay, first of all, in all fairness, he's at his golf resort talking to a bunch of assholes who are either members or guests of members. So everybody in his little audience right there is definitely owns stock. Definitely.
Own that stock, and we want to keep it going. But we do have, I guess you could say, not a tailwind, it's a headwind, I guess would be a better description, but it is.
Yeah, it's the actual description. That's what the actual phrase meant. It was written on his paper. Headwind was written on his paper, and he said tailwind.
It's a headwind. And when you think of it, that's, in my opinion, it would be much higher. But you look at what they want to do. They want to raise everybody's taxes, everybody. And they want
No, they don't want to raise everybody's taxes.
to do the Green New Deal,
Everybody in that room, maybe.
which will decimate our country and decimate. It's ridiculous, too. It's childish. I actually say the Green New Deal is childish.
Oh, well. You actually say that?
It's for children. It's not for adults.
Yeah, it's so that they grow up, and when they're adults, they have breathable air. Yes, the Green New Deal is sort of for children in that regard. It's childish in the like that. I believe that children are our future, and we should treat them well. Not necessarily let them lead the way, because they'll take us right to a giant pile of, like a swimming pool full of macaroni and cheese, and hand us all an Xbox controller. Actually, that doesn't sound half bad.
Anybody that believes in that is, I don't know, maybe it's politics. I don't even think it's good politics. They seem to think, so we'll see how they do. But I don't think it's good politics.
Nancy Pelosi didn't sign off on it. There are elements of it that make sense as far as infrastructure go. It's a marketing phrase.
Will decimate our economy.
Why?
We've learned a great deal about this
It'll give all the bald eagles that aren't killed by the windmills, they'll all get cancer.
virus and how to treat it. Our strategy is to aggressively shield those at the greatest risk while allowing younger and healthier citizens to safely resume work and school. I notice that some of the Democrats that I would say are very strongly on the left are now coming out and saying we really have to open our schools for the good of the economy.
No, the states that have gotten the disease under control, like New York, you know, that poorly run Democrat state with that poorly run Democrat city in it that is where all those hedge fund people sit. Yeah.
Shocked to see a couple of them. You know who they are.
Yeah, the people who've gotten their shit together.
Urge all Americans to socially distance and avoid large crowds and all of the things that we talk about all the time.
Yeah, except masks. Why isn't everybody in that crowd wearing a mask? By the way, they're not socially distancing at Bedminster right now.
We have to go and make sure that everything's in good shape. We really are. We're coming back very, very strong. We're doing very well with the virus because all of those states that everybody thought would be in a bad position for a long time, they're all coming down. The governors have done a great job. Don't forget, we're dealing with governors. Some have done a fantastic job. All have worked hard. Some have done a much better job than others, and someday, if you'd like to know, I'll give you the good ones and the bad ones.
Yeah, he always says that. He doesn't want to mention it out loud because it's the Democrats who've gotten a handle on it, and the red states have let it run wild over their citizenry. But
Give you some good ones and some bad ones.
uh-huh.
But by contrast, the never-ending lockdown being proposed by some,
No one is oh my God. No one is proposing a never-ending lockdown. What kind of insanity is this? What kind of a jackass has ever uttered the words, we need to lock down our society or our country forever? No one. Yeah, he's sniffing a ton. He's on his fourth, rail of Adderall today, and it's not giving him the bump he needs.
mostly, I guess you could almost say almost all in the Democrat Party.
Yeah, there's no Democrats saying we should have a permanent, never-ending lockdown. Not a one. No one. As a matter of fact, it's the Democrats that are saying we need a solid 6-week one so that we can get a control on this, so we can get back to opening sooner instead of this half-assed opening and closing all the goddamn time. Having a definitive 6 to 8 week strategy to lock down and have masks and have a nationwide mask mandate, for example, for 6 to 8 weeks, that actually brings us back to normal sooner. But this rolling half-assed version of it that all of it, like especially the red states are doing, is exactly why they go up and dip and up and dip and up and dip, and that's
would inflict unimaginable harm to our
yeah, it's not imaginable because it's fucking gibberish.
people and to our health for decades to come.
Yeah, it would be bad for our health to lock down forever. Get me to a coffin. New Zealand didn't do it. They did a short lockdown. They had a status. They had a specific 6-week to 8-week plan. They limited who could fly in. They had people isolating, all that stuff. They tracked and traced. And there were no new cases. They're also completely isolated as a country right now. They do not have they didn't open tourism up again. They are literally severed themselves from the rest of the world temporarily. They haven't had a permanent lockdown. Their people move freely. They just ship shit in. No one is suggesting a permanent lockdown, especially Democrats. What's happening is we're having a permanent rolling lockdown that goes off and on like a light switch that nobody can, or like a food disposal unit, like in your sink. Abba, back and forth because of Republican policy.
It'll hurt our economy, and they view that as a good thing. They actually view that as a good thing because they're interested in one date, November 3rd.
Yeah, if we permanently lock down, November 3rd would come and go, and no one would end up being, we lock down forever. That includes November 3rd.
And I actually think it's bad politics, and I think they're starting to come along because I'm seeing more.
You're seeing them come along because they were never there in the first place. Nobody suggested that. I guess this is one of the rhetorical tricks he tries, which is suggest someone wanted something insane, and then when they go, who the fuck wants that? He can go, I guess they've taken me seriously. They're starting to listen.
More people want to open up, and you see
they don't want to open up. We need to open up, but you have to do it with a strategy. Leadership.
Devastating results of lockdowns too. You have depression,
suicide, and depression, drug use,
and
right.
Suicide,
and one of the ways you mitigate those things is having a realistic standard as to when things will open and shut, and having a much harder conversation with the people steadies people's understanding. But if they look out into the future and all they see is constant up and down waves that it never seems to go away, that's what gives people a morose sense of the future and a fear that it's never going to change, and that's what causes all these problems. If you were harder about this, if you were tougher about this, if you were the you're fired guy that you sold yourself as all this time, you would have come out early and gone, I'm the guy to solve this. We're going to 6 to 8 weeks, we're going to lock this down. The federal government's going to supply all these things, but everybody needs to wear a mask. Everybody needs to stay indoors if you don't have to. And we're going to protect our essential workers who are out there, and we don't need to flood our hospitals, and we're going to deal with this 6 to 8 weeks. Listen to me. And if we have a second wave, we'll do it for 3 weeks. And we will stagger this out, and each time will get shorter, and you can trust me, and I believe in the future of the American people, and we will handle this in a way that the rest of the world cannot. If he did that, he'd be ahead in the polls right now, but he's incapable.
Drugs and alcohol and bad marriages. Marriages that were very good turn out to be very bad.
What? Marriages that were very good turn out to be very bad. Thanks. I just translated that for you. Marriages that were very good turn out to be very bad. Christ almighty. This is from a dude whose wife slaps his hand away regularly and she's basically locked away with her son to make sure that the two of them don't perish.
It's an amazing thing, and it's who would think it? But
No one, dipshit.
people get along for 20 years. I guess they didn't know each other very well, and now they're not getting along. And you had the opposite also. You've had people that get along better. They like each other more than they thought. That's okay, too.
So it zeroes it out, I guess.
That we like, but the other
That part we like.
situation is very, 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 very bad. We'll develop a vaccine. We're
Do we have a statistic on which one? We had 50% of marriages thought they were great and turned out to be bad. And we have 50% that thought they were bad and turned out to be great. So it's basically just swap houses.
have it very soon, and we're ready to distribute it, and we've got the military ready. Logistics.
Yeah, please. You know what? Give everybody at Bedminster a shot first. I want to watch this. I also want to make sure that there's something in the syringe, not
it's
just
called.
saline.
And we'll end this pandemic, and we will rebuild the greatest economy in the history of the world. You know, we created the greatest economy in the history of the world.
No, he didn't. He came in on an upslope, and he's been riding it. And it wasn't until now that his policies came home to roost. His tax policies won't come home to roost for 3 to 5 years. And somebody's going to end up having to pay for that gap because he doubled the deficit that Obama had, doubled it yearly, $1 trillion deficit. And this is before we dumped $4.5 to $6 trillion on the economy in 8 weeks just to fix this shit because he couldn't stand to have the pandemic response team around. He was embarrassed by the fact that somebody had thought ahead. So he scuttled it. And then years later, we have the actual problem, and the cost of fixing it is $6 trillion minimum. This doesn't include whatever executive order he thinks he's signing right now.
The stock market ever. And we're very close to getting that back. And that, I have to say, is way ahead of schedule.
What schedule is there? There's no schedule. This is his bullshit building stuff for years. My dad's an architect, and the language of architects and developers and construction in general is on time and under budget or ahead of schedule. Like that's your sales point. We did that on time and under budget or ahead of schedule. Or we're ahead of schedule on that, but we got some challenges over here, but we're ahead of schedule on there. Like that's the languaging. This is like a verbal tick that comes from the real estate market.
Highest stock market ever, best employment numbers for African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans. And by the way, Hispanic Americans just set a record for new jobs.
You mean the ones that are frontline workers that kept working because their jobs are the tough ones we rely on so we don't starve to death? Set a record, did they? You mean going back to work because they were the second tier ones? You mean working at restaurants?
African Americans just set a record for new jobs, just
No, they didn't. Same deal.
during the pandemic, the last month.
Yeah. I don't even know what black people were complaining about before this. Do you? I mean, not only have they added 1 million jobs during a pandemic, they're doing sweet. Is anyone anemic lack of flag pins? What is this? Is anyone anemic from a lack of flag pins and helping flags? Right. Virginia Pool will be paying for his mistakes for years. No question.
And Asian Americans just set a record for new jobs. So we're very proud of what's happening. And
What has Donald Trump got against white people? As an orange American, he doesn't recognize white people? Is that what it is? What about white people? Are they the only ones losing their jobs in the Trump economy?
I will now sign the executive action, and then if you want, we can ask a few questions. Okay, Kelly? Yeah, let me do this first, and then you can do some questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Let me sign this, and then we will. You ready? Take pictures. You ready?
Okay, so this is for the authorization of other needs assistance program, major disasters declaration related to the coronavirus disease.
The declaration of a disaster, so a national disaster. So he thinks this one gives him the ability in a national disaster to see that? Looky, mommy. Me write a big word. and then that one he thinks gives him the legal right to just sign into law, to bypass the purse strings of Congress and sign these other ones. He didn't even look. He doesn't even know which one this one is.
So this is,
Let me look at this. I just signed it. Let me see what it is after.
authority invested in me. This is
Something about the authority vested in me, something, bullshit,
the
something.
payment relief during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is fighting the spread of the COVID-19 by providing assistance to renters and homeowners. We're doing assistance.
We're doing assistance. This is a commitment to do these things. This is like him signing their side of what they're presenting in the argument. I mean, I guess he can extend the length of a bill, meaning that essentially he can extend with leftover funds, the extent of, so they have this unspent money on like testing and whatnot. So he's going to take that money for testing or whatever and do $300 a week for certain workers. Let the states make up the $100 for the $400 until it runs out, which will be a month, if that. That was weird. What the shit? Did you see that signature? Where'd he go? It's like him wandering off the tarmac. He does this like his signature is remarkably consistent. It's just it looks like a cokehead's EKG. It just goes yakka 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 like an earthquake caused by benzodiazepines and Adderall.
This is fighting the spread of the COVID-19 by providing assistance to renters and homeowners. We're doing assistance.
Watch his signature on it. Just scribbled back over it. He just backed up and screw it. He made his J too big and got confused.
Deferral payroll.
Yeah. By the way, tell me again about Sleepy Joe.
Tax obligations. So this is your payroll tax obligations, which we're going to end up terminating eventually, right?
You're going to terminate the payroll tax. Honestly, this is the news from today. I mean, there's all kinds of bullshit in this, and his yada yada about the Democrats and back and forth and the Sleepy Joe and the radical left and the Green New Deal stuff. Boilerplate rally bullshit in front of his fans. But Donald Trump has gone on record that he wants to terminate the payroll tax, which is the main funding arm for Social Security, meaning the end of Social Security. Donald Trump has, going into the election cycle, within 3 months of an election, stated in no certain terms, signed a document and said in a speech that he wants to eliminate the payroll tax and therefore the funding mechanism by which Social Security exists and get rid of Social Security. Bye. That's Social Security. Bye. Donald Trump has signaled that he, in spite of what Democrats and Republicans want, will end Social Security. Yeah, he's having trouble with the signature today. The J is really linking up in his head. I've seen him sign all these things when he does these in his room, and it's pretty much yaga, yaga, yaga. He's exhausted. It's a bit rough. I mean, we're all tired today, but it's a good look. This is one of those, they cut you sneezing.
How many pictures can you take over there? I mean, you're taking hundreds of pictures? What are you doing? Okay.
You're taking hundreds of pictures. What are you doing? He's talking to his own staff as he signs this shit.
I will. So that's the story. Would anybody like a pen? Would anybody like a pen?
Would anybody like a pen? Oh, shit. You don't want to just sniff them? You don't want to This one smells like raspberry. Does he start throwing them?
Would anybody?
I do.
Why don't we hand these? We'll hand these out to you in the back. Okay.
I touched him, whatever.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Can we start with the $400, sir? So just wanted to get your reaction. So you're saying the states will have to cover some of this cost, sir. Which governors have told you that they would sign on?
Well, if they don't, they don't. That's up to them. But if they don't, they don't. That's going to be their problem. I don't think their people will be too happy. They have the money, so I don't think their people will be
Yeah, they're supposed to be spending it on tracking and tracing and testing and unemployment and those,
too happy. But if they don't, they don't. But again, the states have the money. It's sitting there. All right, Kelly.
It's sitting there. All those states that just are sitting on so much money right now.
Sir, why did you decide on $400 when previously families were receiving $600?
Yeah.
That will be a hardship for many. What do you say to them?
Well, no, it's not a hardship. This is the money that they need. This is the money they want, and this gives them a great incentive to go back to work. So this was much.
See, it's an incentive, guys. There's an incentive. That's what we're trying to do. It's really just incentivizing, because without that, if you don't cut $200 out of that, people are just lazy, man.
More than was originally agreed. The 600 was a number that was there, and as you know, they were different.
It was there. It was just there. It was just sitting. Whose 600 is that laying right there?
There was difficulty with the 600 number because it really was a disincentive. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sir, the payroll tax cut was opposed by both parties on Capitol Hill. Can you give your rationale as to why you think that's so important, particularly since it doesn't help Americans who currently don't have jobs?
It helps people greatly.
It helps people who already have jobs, and mainly business leaders who can, during this time, not pay that, invest in the stock market as it goes up. I'll let them know when it's going to crash again because I'm going to cause it. Then they can pull that money that they would have had to give to their employees out, and then they can pay back that money later after they've made 3 times as much money on it.
Helps our country get back, and anybody that would say anything different, I think, is very foolish. Everybody wanted it. By the way, the Democrats.
Everybody wanted it. Nobody
want it. The Republicans want it. They just
no, they don't
get it. They just couldn't come to an agreement. But
they couldn't come to an agreement on who wanted it the most. That's the problem. Hal, make November get here sooner. Seriously, how much do I need to donate? Oh, I can't affect time, Gonzo. Just pace yourself, and we'll get through this, brother. It'll be here before you know it.
Everybody wants it, and the very important thing is the people want it, and the people need it, actually.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Yeah.
Mr. President,
that doesn't affect anybody's paycheck. That's something the employer has to do.
that this will pretty much take care of the entire situation, but as you said, there's not money for reopening schools, other important items. Is your administration willing to go back to Democrats to try to actually negotiate?
Well, the answer is yes, but we have money to do other things. So we have a lot of money that was unspent, and we'll be able to do things with the money that was unspent. We have significant money that was unspent, and we
You mean the money that was supposed to be spent on testing?
will be able to use that for different purposes. Go ahead.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
when will this relief get in the hands of Americans that need it? What date?
We think it's going to be very rapid. We want it to be very rapid. It's going to be distributed in a way that, whichever the fastest way, there are various methods, and it will be rapidly distributed.
We're gonna just fly over and chuck it out of the back of a van, or an airplane. We'll just drop it. We'll drop a like Point Break. It'll be a van with some skydivers in it, and they'll just money will tumble out. Be kind of a GTA 5 kind of a thing.
Legal challenges with this, right?
I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that.
Yesterday, sir, you said that you were expecting legal.
I didn't say that. I said that yesterday. Nothing I say yesterday means anything today. When are you guys going to learn? Look at his face. I didn't say that I said it when I said what I said. I said the other thing.
With this, right?
I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that.
You said it yesterday.
Yesterday, sir, you said that you were expecting legal.
What I said is people can do whatever they want. I guess maybe they'll bring legal actions, maybe they won't, but they won't win. They won't win.
Legal action is brought against you on this. Why not just work with Congress on this deal?
Well, I'm not saying they're not going to come back and negotiate. They might very well come back and negotiate.
What negotiation is there?
Want to know when they're going to see this relief?
Very soon. They're going to see it very soon. Look, there it is, right there. Excuse me.
There's money right there. Didn't you see it? It's a big pile of money. Can't you? Excuse me. Don't you see what I just autographed that?
Excuse me. There it is, right there. Go ahead.
Mr.
There it is right there.
President, the
A legally ambiguous document with no timeline.
this is expected to be tied up in the court, so this relief is either going to be delayed or
Oh,
blocked
I don't think
indefinitely.
so. I think this is
Is
going to go
just
very
legal
rapidly through
theater?
the courts.
But
This
are
will
you
go
giving
very.
Why would it go very rapidly through the court?
If
false
we get
hope?
sued, maybe we won't get sued. If we get sued, it's somebody that doesn't want people to get money.
That's what it is. Somebody that doesn't want people to get money. You mean like Steve Mnuchin's friends?
And that's not going to be a very popular thing.
Go around Congress. Are you trying to set a new precedent that the president
No,
can go around
no.
Congress and decide how
You ever
money
hear
is
the
collected
word
and spent?
obstruction? They've obstructed. Congress has obstructed. The Democrats have obstructed people from getting desperately needed money. Go ahead, please, right here.
President,
No,
why do you
no,
keep
you're
saying
finished.
that
Go
you
ahead.
No, you finished. Obstruction. I said obstruction.
passed veterans' choice?
Please.
You passed veterans'
Did he say you're fake news? Did I miss that one? I was reading somebody.
saying that
Go
you
ahead,
passed
please. Popular
veterans'
thing.
go around Congress. Are you trying to set a new precedent that the president
No,
can go around
no.
Congress and decide how
You ever
money
hear
is
the
collected
word
and spent?
obstruction? They've obstructed. Congress has obstructed. The Democrats have obstructed people from getting desperately needed money.
Why can you say that the Republicans, by refusing to sign off on a bill that has all this stuff in it, have obstructed? Why aren't you obstructing everything else in the bill by signing off on just 3 things?
Go ahead, please, right here.
President,
No,
why do you
no,
keep
you're
saying
finished.
that
I'm starting to go funny. We're skipping September and October. Yeah, that's right.
you passed veterans' choice?
Please.
You passed veterans' choice. It was passed in 2014.
Okay, excuse me. Go ahead.
There you go. Look at that. Somebody finally looked it up. Finally, somebody said it. How many times have I tweeted about this and talked about this on my show? You said you passed VA choice. It passed in 2014. Did you hear that? Hold on.
You passed veterans' choice. It was passed in 2014.
Okay, excuse me. Go ahead,
But it
please.
was a false statement, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Can I say for the record that the thing that made him leave was the thing I have been bringing up over and over again. Jesus Christ. Like, this man, Donald Trump, did not pass VA choice. Every time he's brought this bullshit up for the last few weeks, I've been pushing, like, people to remember this and talk about this, and that's what made him leave the room. When somebody finally brought it up in the room, chased him out with by holding up his own bullshit right in his face. Yeah, bravely goes Sir Donald, went forth from Camelot. That's incredible. And for the record, that was what did it. The next person who asked him a question at any public gathering tomorrow, when he does this same bullshit, he won't do it tomorrow. He'll golf, and then he'll do something on Monday. On Monday, any reporter within the sound of my voice or anybody reach out and congrats to her. I didn't see who it was because I could just hear her voice, but total kudos for bringing that up. The next question he needs to be asked at any press conference he gives is, why do you keep saying you passed Veterans Choice when it passed in 2014? For Christ's sake, that needs to be the next question asked. And when he goes, no, that's not true, and you go, Veterans Choice, like on and on. That needs to be hammered back and forth from now till the election. Lying about the passing of the Veterans Access, Choice, and Accountability Act of 2014, the Choice Act, saying it took 50 years and nobody could get it done when Obama signed it. And Hal Rogers from my original home state of Kentucky, a Republican congressperson, presented this bill. A member of his own party brought this to the floor. It had tons of co-signers. It sailed through Congress. It was signed into law by Barack Obama. I mean, this isn't even like a watery one. Well, we kind of, it was underfunded or blah, blah, blah. No. He's flat out lying. It's not even that choice was passed, but accountability was the thing that he got, so he passed the full package This literally, the 2014 bill is the Access, Choice, and Accountability Act. It's about shortening the wait times for veterans who need to get medical care, their choice about where they get it, so they can choose their own doctor if they have to wait more than 28 days or have to drive more than a half an hour from their house to find a doctor. If the VA facility is further than that, they can pick any doctor, and this does it. And then the Accountability Act allows you to fire people who mismanage or maltreat the VA system or the veterans themselves. That's what it's all in there. And somebody finally asked him, holy shit, what are the ramifications of these executive orders? Well, in legal terms, they are, what's the best analogy I can give? They're worth about that much. They're a popcorn fart. They have no substance. It's bullshit. Even the one he did on drugs sets a commission on the 25th of August to look into why countries pay less. We know why. His executive order to make companies cover pre-existing conditions is legally completely untenable. You cannot force private businesses of any sort to serve customers against their will outside the value point of what they provide. You can force them to equally provide a service. If they unequally provide it, if they're racist, or let's say, like, I don't know, they have a place like Bedminster that didn't allow Jews for a long time, and it had to be sued to make that happen. You can do that, but you can't make a company. It's like you can't now he can't write an executive order and make Volkswagen provide roadside assistance for all other cars, regardless of what's wrong with the vehicle. Because financially, some people can't afford roadside assistance for their Ford. So therefore, Volkswagen now has a responsibility to go. Like, on a business level, like, people have to understand what these slippery slopes legally mean and why bills are complicated. This whole bullshit, it's on page 1700 of this thing. They're managing hundreds of billions of dollars given out to millions of Americans in varying degrees of employed and unemployed and underemployed. Some people got their jobs back, but because they lost a few months, their whole, like their what they pay for drugs, what they pay for their phone, what they pay for, and I mean prescription drugs, for the record, not Adderall, benzo, and Cialis and Sudafed crushed up and snorted, not that kind of drugs like the president uses. I mean, what the average person has to pay for, if they've been choosing their medicine or choosing food over other things, even though they've continued to work, because the amount of work they're doing has been diminished. Those people, it helps make up there has to be stuff in there for people who actually ended up working more, but their work was delayed for 2 months because of this, and it got them behind, so they can apply for extra benefits for that time because they have multiple kids in the house, because there are single people, there are married people, there are divorced people, there are people who have a family where everybody's in the house, and a situation where the families go like the kids go from house to house by the weekend or by the summer, for example. Seriously, like, there's a reason why bills are complicated. Okay, the Veterans Choice Act here, the summary of this law is whatever, let's see, how many pages long? 6, 8 pages long. Just the summary of this is 8 pages long. There's 175 pages as far as the elements of the public law put forth in this. And then it references within it elements of the healthcare bill or previous VA bills. So the Veterans Choice and Accountability Act of 2014 is a 175-page bill on its own of fresh text, single space. And then in the process of all these bills, when it deals with taxes, how if you pay for something, you can write it off, or how this service costs something, or if something is elective, or what level of dental surgery is elective versus cosmetic. If you're rebuilding someone's teeth because they had their face partially blown off by an IED, versus somebody who doesn't brush their teeth, losing a tooth, and it's capped, paying for a cap versus the rebuilding of something. Like, there's a whole substructure of whether or not the taxpayer should have to pay for that or not. And that's a reasonable thing to put in there so that you're not spending taxpayers' dollars giving caps to people who, served as a clerk in the Army and never encountered any damage, and somebody who has to have their entire skull rebuilt. And we understand that we're prioritizing people with debilitating injuries, especially when they're coming back from, Iraq and Afghanistan. Those people need to be, when you're paying for somebody's prosthetic, there's an ensuing costs and treatments and therapies that they need that are extraordinary and expansive. And so there's details that need to be in there so that you can't, just because the gap is there, somebody doesn't sue to protect themselves, or sue to have to protect their rights and their privileges underneath the law, under the law, or sue to get access to services they did not earn. Laws have to deal with all those details, because you don't want you don't want the VA Choice Act of 2014 tied up in litigation for 20 years until it can be evenly applied. That's why this stuff goes through lawyers. That's why we have contract process. That's why we look at medical facilities and say, yeah, this one qualifies for VA stuff, this one doesn't, for a specific reason. People lose their VA accreditation because they're dangerous. If you don't allow that to happen, what the shit is the point of having an accountability act where you can fire people that work at a VA facility, but then give veterans the ability to go to a cheaper clinic and have the facility pocket the difference because the VA pays the same for each one. They'll charge no copay to draw in the vets, undercharge or overcharge the government for what they're getting, and then endanger, if the person can't work for the VA, why can they go to a facility where they can, that same person who was fired from the VA can go work here, and the government has no say about who's covered. Like, that stuff has to be in there. That's why executive orders get washed away. It's insanity. But bless whoever she is. We need to find out who said that. I don't know that we'll be, but if there's any way we can, if somebody will mention it, hopefully on Twitter or Facebook, or bring it up. But this needs to be hammered every time he does this until he stops saying it, because it's a lie, and it's an egregious lie. It's one of those. It's like, it's not even a soft political lie like, I'm going to do the best job for you. People can believe that and fail, so that doesn't even qualify as the normalcy of a lie. CBS Paula Reed was the one who asked about VA. Awesome. Thank you for Emo Vulcan. Paula Reed, we salute you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Paula Reed. Christ. So that has to end. People need to call him on this bullshit. And they can get away with it. Like, you got to stop backing down in the face of, like, after the Axios interview, the lesson should be, you're going to get some negative attention from his psycho followers. But the vast majority of people are going to go, thank you for pressing that issue, for asking a second time, because he's lying about this. And I know there's maggots and Trumpsters watching right now. Maybe you've seen me do this before or talk about this before. Maybe you haven't. But don't believe me. Don't go, you could think I photoshopped this like Obama's birth certificate or some nonsense. Go to the VA website. Just look up the VA Choice and Accountability Act of 2014. Look it up. Look it up. Look on your own. Don't believe me. Don't believe a single word I say the entire time. Go look it up. Go read the entire text of the bill and hold the entire text up to what this asshole is saying about how nobody could do it for 50 years and they were cruel and thieving people and he stopped them. So the accountability thing is brand new in his head, and that they can go to, anybody and we pay the bill. That's the access part and the choice part. And I don't want to hear it. Flap about your BS Trump 2020 nonsense all you want. Pretend you actually think that he's a competent leader and capable of understanding the complexity of the issue in front of him. Just you live in that fantasy. But from this moment forward, you cannot live in your bullshit fantasy that Donald John Trump passed the Access, Choice, and Accountability Act for veterans, and nobody could do it for 50 years, but he got it done. That lie in and of itself is embarrassing to you. If you say it out loud again, after you have heard the sound of my voice saying this, you know, whether you admit to it or not, that you are a liar, and you are lying on the backs of veterans. This is a cheap shot at American veterans. It is disrespectful to veterans to lie to them like this and lie to people who support and care about our veterans, pretending that nobody gives a shit. Why don't you just walk up to a vet and go, nobody really cares about you? Because that's what you're saying. Because all the changes and benefits that have been added over the years to protect veterans that everybody has supported, this president is lying and saying he's singularly the one. It's fucking embarrassing for you to open your mouth and say he got VA choice passed and reiterate that. Because from this second on, you know you're lying. You know it. And now you also know that Donald John Trump is lying about it. And his family, when they retweet his bullshit lie about this, they're lying about it. And they know it. But they think you don't know it, so they're scamming you because they think you're a sucker. And while he's scamming you about VA choice and lying to you and getting you to carry his lies in a bucket, he and his buddies are running off with hundreds of millions of dollars. They are jacking up the stock market, and they're going to put a put on every stock they know is going to crash the day before it happens. Other than that, I have no opinion. Thank you guys for jumping in with me again today. I love you guys. I appreciate it. When you have absolutely nothing to show, why shouldn't you lie? Says Gary in Panama, asking for a friend. Well, that's exactly right. Thank you, Scooter, so much. And Jill Stein, really that Jill Stein? Paula Reed, thanks for letting us know. Are you a different Jill Stein? Are you the Jill Stein I could vote for versus the Jill Stein who hung out with Mike Flynn and Putin? I hope so. Thanks for the new follows. Thank you, Benny Loco, for reminding everybody to give a thumbs up. We love you. Can't stop lying. He had to run off. It's his birthday weekend. Thank you, Gonzo, for joining us again. I'm sorry yesterday was rough, as was for Deirdre. I don't know if many of you know, but Deirdre, who's regularly in our chat, her mother passed away yesterday, so we send our love. D. Gabriel's birthday was yesterday, and the day before that was Can't Stop Lying. So they're in and out as it is. But I want you guys to remember this kind of stuff. Whenever you hear these, like, you have to think of everything Trump said in terms of what the Democrats were negotiating, what they were supposedly holding hostage, what was in their negotiation. You have to, you can listen to those things and let them enter your head, but they also have to enter in with their date, which is this lie about the Choice Act. You have to take it in the context of who you're talking to and who you're listening to. And if he would lie about something this obvious, disabled Gonzo, disabled vet, pro-left leg, broken back, broken both elbows, right hand crushed, bit tongue off, right eye pulled from socket, lost hearing in left ear, traumatic brain injury, severe PTSD. Brother, we are lucky to have you, and thank you for your service, and I'm glad you're retired, and I just want you to take care of yourself and ride this out with us through the rest of the election. And then afterwards, if you want to come see me do stand-up wherever you are, you'll be my guest, I insist. But you can't listen to what he's saying about what Democrats wanted or don't want in a negotiation, or what they care about or what they don't care about, and then leave out his lie about this. This is context. This is who you're listening to. If he would lie about something so easily checked, you think he would tell the truth about something that was never written down? It's garbage. The man is garbage. His followers are garbage. You garbage followers of Donald Trump, you can rehab yourself. not a permanent state. You don't have to live like that. You don't have to live alive. You don't have to live your bullshit existence being a fart sniffer for this nutcase. You can come into the sun. You don't even have to agree with me. You can stay conservative. I don't mind. I'll have a conversation with you, a liberal to conservative, about the best way to achieve our mutual goals as Americans. I'm cool with that. But that is miles away from this moronic, infantile lie about the 2014 Choice Act. And Gary, we're going to be this end. Thank you, Gonzo. Gary, in this, we're not going to do a Zoom meet. We're going to do what's called Get Vocal. I'm doing it at the end of the month. It'll be, I think, around the 25th. It'll be after the Sexy Liberal show because I have all this production to do leading up to that. And then I'm going to show some behind the scenes of making that on that with the Patreon and stuff. And Summer's helping me, and we're kind of launching the stuff for the Patreon anew, so everybody can get their patches and all that. I had to order new ones, and it took forever, and it's all been on delay because of the coronavirus, and quite frankly, because I've been swamped doing this. But hopefully, both of those things together will start adding those until such time as I start doing live shows again, and the Patreon people can come to those shows for free, and bring a friend, which would basically be an entire refund of what you've given, most people at their level. So I'll be filling in that very soon. But end of the month is when we're going to have that gathering. Thanks, Janice. Janice? Is that how you pronounce it? I hope so. I hope I'm getting it right. But until we see each other, I doubt I'll be on tomorrow unless he jumps on and does. I don't rule out that I might do tomorrow if he comes on and does one of these Bedminster things, because he's liking his crowd yelling at people. So he might just come out and do the same flap over and over again. But since he just signed something, I doubt it. I think he'll just golf the day away. But if he does, I'll see you guys tomorrow. If not, I will be working on other stuff, and then I'll see you Monday. The important thing is take care of yourself, take care of somebody else. Reach out to somebody in the periphery of your world and say, hey, I miss you, love you, hope you're well. And to Can't Stop Lying, have a great birthday weekend, brother. And Carl, I adore you. I can't wait to do another Apollo-related or aerospace-related podcast mix stream kind of thing. I'm not even sure what we call these anymore. At some point after maybe even during, but definitely after we've passed this period in American history where we can get back to the slow, steady progress and climb towards everybody having the same chance and everybody doing their best, because that's what I'm shooting for. So take care of yourself, take care of somebody else, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Captain's log.
Was the mic okay at the end of this, guys? At the very end, did it sound all right? Did it crackle? Or was it muffled?
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen.
I know my mic is hot, I'm asking.
You'll have nobody guarding your potatoes. If you get it in order, you get extra points. They're not allowed to be offensive, unfortunately. Soup for my family. Soup for my family. I do it because I have, a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
Just looking around here, I can tell you're a genuinely dirty person.
Bags of soup. I do it because I have, a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
I never thought anybody could forget so much so fast without a severe blow to the head.
Something strange happened to me this morning.
Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you?
No.
Why am I the only person that has that dream?
No, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family.
Shop smart, shop S-smart.
He thinks I made it up.
Unbelievable.
Nice. Nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
Did have shade.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
Leon's getting larger.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
I'm a land farmer, motherfucker.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
Did have shade.
Geez, you're real nice. If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
He has no.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world, known as the Pentaveret, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet tri-annually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentaveret?
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up.
Welcome to the real world.
Let me put it this way, Mr. Raymer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.
So that's the kind of fight it's going to be.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
Groovy.
Beef jerky? Oh, no, son, thank you very much. No, it gives me the wind, something terrible. Oh.
Sorry, I farted.
Medicine and medical and what we're doing.
I do it because I have, like, a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused. Wildlife refuges, I mean, you look at this, you look at what we do with our wildlife.
Butthole! All right. Who wants some? Who's next?
We've got entirely too many troublemakers here.
Call me Snake.
I'm just a happy camper.
Hail to the king, baby.
I'm dead sexy.
Bring out your dead! Wah wah wee wah! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my underground lair.
I am a HAL 9000 computer.
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think